All right, everybody, welcome to the latest line of Fourth Line Minutes, the hockey and pop culture show. And this is what goes on the bench between fourth liners when they're not out on the ice, which they talk about pretty much anything. And that's what this show is for you guys, revolving around hockey, of course. But I am your host, co-host, Chris Maselli, and with me, as always, is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom himself, Kyle Sullivan. Kyle, how was your Christmas this past week, sir? Was it enjoyable for you?
Merry and bright.
Perry and Bright? Mary and Corey Perry and Bright? Is that
Corey Perry and Bright?
Yeah. You sent me an image of some goods that you got.
I did.
And those include, go ahead.
Reverse retro Nathan McKinnon t-shirt.
Love it.
Grogu.
Baby Grogu. Is that what we're calling
Baby
him?
Grogu. Yes, Baby Grogu.
Yeah.
And
NHL
NHL 21.
Gotta love that.
No more Minnesota winning the cup.
So now our Sims will be updated. Well, I think when you were doing it with 20, were they the updated rosters or no? Was that still?
They were updated to like the end of the season last year.
Okay, so like no sod or anything or no Taves and okay for the Avalanche anyway. Okay, so but now we're cooking with gas here. Like we're no more fooling around. This is all legit stuff.
Except it's like an 82 game season. But
yeah.
It's current rosters.
But
it's a good trade-off.
So cool. All right. And you were throwing out something which I think we're going to undertake. Like you were giving me pieces of information on this about a mode in the game, which I think we're going to turn this into offshoot or an offspring of the show. Tell me about it and tell me how this whole thing works, because this seems pretty cool.
Well, I'm not getting paid by EA Sports, but if they'd love to, hey, shoot me a line at Shaggy Von Doom. But in NHL 21, they have the new Be a Pro mode in NHL, where it is very similar to anyone who's played the 2K series. In that career mode, whatever you decide on how you handle your press conferences, how you handle your agent, it affects team chemistry, and it's more of a story base than previous EA Sports NHL games.
Right.
And it's a very engaging mode that I think that will add some viewing, something for the viewing menu on the Fourth Line channel.
Okay. So this basically follows a simulated character from as early as what?
Memorial Cup.
Okay, and through his NHL career.
Yes, all the way.
So, and you can either play this as you are playing it and make the decisions for them, or you can have just the AI make the decisions for them.
You can even sim up to like the big moments.
Okay.
Like even you could sim up to your pre-draft interviews. I did a little trial run myself and completely botched on purpose the Rangers. I was slotted for the first pick of the draft, and I botched the Rangers. Rangers won on purpose and got drafted second to the Kings.
Really? And that was my question. So like, I mean, is it pretty easy to become like the first pick in the draft? Do they make that stuff pretty easy for you to do?
If it's all about performance, like I've been playing NHL games religiously every year since NHL 2000.
Okay.
I mean, I've been playing back on the Super Nintendo, so I mean, I have some skill when it comes to the game. But you have to contribute for you to get that draft status. But I mean, you can fall to the later rounds if you just don't try.
Okay. So I think what we're going to do, we'll talk about this a little bit more, probably like tomorrow, and really figure out like, do we put out there who, like, I guess everything about this guy, like the name of him, like his nationality, who is it, and you can pick his like AHL affiliate, right? So
you could pick all the like OHL. You could play in Liga. You could play WHL.
Really?
I mean, you can pick where he comes from and how we get there. So if you've ever played D&D,
Yeah.
let's make a character sheet.
Okay. I'll take your word for that. All right. So, all right, we'll talk about this more tomorrow, flesh out the details. But I think what we're gonna do in the end is like once a week, do like follow this guy's career. It's gonna be like an episodic show where you can tune in live. We'll be there. We'll be streaming it. It'll be only like 10-15 minute episodes and follow the. So how long would it take from start to get into the NHL?
It took me maybe, because I play everything.
Uh-huh.
I'm just that way. It took me
Yeah.
about maybe an hour. So it might be like 2 episodes.
Okay.
Maybe 2 if we fly through some things.
But I think we should but I don't want to though. I kind of want to like take this thing slow and do every little thing and really like make him a wholesome person. So, all right, we'll talk about this more tomorrow, but be on the lookout for that. So, cool, man. That sounds awesome. I think that sounds really, really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do we got today? It's going to be a hockey full show today. I think, with the Mandalorian coming to an end, there were some things that we watched. We did watch Soul, but we'll get to that next week because I really need to take it in again. There's too much there for me really to talk about it after one viewing, and having a 4-year-old daughter.
If you haven't watched it, it's deep.
It is.
So it will take 2 or 3 watches.
So, and I was gonna say, like, having a 4-year-old daughter, we will watch it multiple times this week. So we'll talk about that next week. So a lot of hockey stuff to get to, especially with the season literally right around the corner. We will dive into some news that dropped today. A big announcement that came in last week. We'll be talking about the World Juniors, which is currently underway. Shaggy Von Doon himself went to a live action hockey game, and he will tell us all about it. And we figured to finish up, we might as well talk about ourselves because we don't do that enough, and how we really got into hockey and our love for the game. So all of that on the docket for today. So, but we should probably throw out where you can follow us on social media outlets. On Twitter, which is at 4th Minutes, and on Instagram, which I think is just 4th Line Minutes. Just search for that and you'll find us there. Yeah. So definitely follow the show there. That's where you can interact with us, send us messages through that and what you like, what you don't like, your take on anything that we're talking about. And we'll read it on the air. So, all right, let's get to some pretty big hockey news. We'll start with the guy that we don't like, Corey Perry, and then talk about the guy that we do like, and Henrik Lundqvist. I had forgotten about Corey Perry because I like to do that. I don't really like to think about him any more than I have to. And I kind of like did forget that he was a free agent and was probably not going to be playing with Dallas this upcoming year. And I literally forgot about him. When his name came up that he signed with Montreal, correct?
Yes.
It was like a shock to me, like, oh yeah, I forgot he hadn't been signed yet. Yeah. And it's not for that much money. I think it's for like $800,000, $850,000.
It's $750K.
$750K. So is it a good signing for Montreal? I mean, Corey Perry is that one guy that you hate unless he's on your team. So he can give you some good things if you're playing for him. Cheap shot artist in the flesh. Never been a fan of his, and I can genuinely say, being an Avalanche fan, if the Avalanche were to sign him, I would not root for this person.
Yeah.
I don't know. What's your take on the deal?
He's the last of a dying breed that's starting to die out of the NHL. Just kind of like that Goonie type player.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Perry, you get to that stage of life where the skills are starting to diminish a little bit, and you just can do nothing but goon it up out there and pose yourself as a distraction. How that translates to Montreal, I really don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking last episode how I was really liking how Montreal was constructing that roster with Nick Suzuki, and they have a lot of good young talent up there, and I just don't see really where he's going to fit in unless he's going to be just designated taxi squad and just a cheerleader on the bench. But I mean, for a 1 year, $750,000 deal, Corey Perry knows this is the end. And I know he wanted initially to go to Toronto, but
Yeah.
I don't think there was mutual interest. But I mean,
Well,
to each their own.
Toronto sign? Who did they sign? Didn't they
Jumbo
sign?
Joe?
No. Where did Wayne Simmons go?
Toronto.
I think that's yeah. So I was hearing things that he wanted to go there, and then they signed Simmons instead. Not that they're like the same player, but they kind of are. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's really room for a person of Corey Perry's abilities to. I mean, there's room for him, but not big minutes. You know what I mean? Like
No.
that's not the way the game is played anymore. And like you said, like that's the only way he can play the game right now. And
it's a 56 game season. I mean, minutes are extremely valuable.
Yeah.
And you can't be wasting opportunities on a 5-minute major. Like,
and he's good at those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll rack him up in a hurry.
Yep.
So I don't understand what Montreal's doing, but
yeah, that's an interesting signing. So and I'm with you. I really liked what Montreal has done in the offseason. That North is going to be a fun division to watch them battle it out. You don't want Corey Perry doing something stupid to ruin, kind of like maybe some precious points that might come off the board for them. Because you're right. I mean, it's 56 games, and every point matters anyway. When you're removing that many games, they're all the more important. So you don't want him doing anything dumb. But he's prone to stupidity. So we'll see how that goes. All right. And then kind of the other big news coming out was one of my all-time favorite players in King Henry, Henrik Lundqvist. We had the news a couple weeks ago that he was not going to play at all this season because of a heart problem. And now he posted that he's opting for open heart surgery. Man, like, when it rains, it pours. Like, I was not expecting that. I was expecting him to take the year off, get some treatment, whatever that may be. I don't know if it's whatever medication. We didn't really know what the heart problem was when he said he had a heart problem, right? He just said, I have a heart condition.
Yeah. That they're working on treating.
Right. And now it's like valve replacement surgery. So man, so that it really like surprised me. And he is definitely one of my all-time favorites. On my Locked On Avalanche show was throwing around the idea of, do you bring him in at the trade deadline of last year? And I didn't really talk about it too much in the off season because it didn't seem like they were going anywhere with the goalies. But I would have taken him in a second on a trade deadline move for many reasons. And one is because he's one of my all-time favorites. And two is I want to own a Henrik Lundqvist Colorado Avalanche jersey. And three, if the Avalanche did go on to win it and he has not won one yet, you want another Ray Bourque moment where he lifts up a Stanley Cup, and to be in an Avalanche jersey doing it would have just been awesome to me. So,
yeah, I mean, Lundqvist, I mean, he's been the epitome of class on and off the ice. I mean, he's a walking GQ model. He's like just top notch in every aspect, and he's been doing it for a long time. It's why this heart condition came out of left field, because he's been doing this for a long time, and it's there's never even been a whiff of this. And for it to come out with the news that he had a heart condition, and then for, I think it was yesterday or today, the news of him having to undergo open heart surgery. I mean, it's just a double whammy of just heavy news, and you hate it for him. But I mean, you could see the outpouring of support on every NHL account. I mean, there is nothing but respect for Lundqvist in the league. And I mean, I know we both wish him nothing but the best going forward, and just take care of yourself and stay safe in this time that we're in right now.
Yeah. I just recorded Locked On NHL with Adam for our Thursday show. And I said, and we're not thinking about him playing hockey again. You just want him to have successful surgery, recovery, and, live a long, healthy life. How incredible would it be if, he's not playing this year, but everything goes well. He feels good. He comes back next year miraculously, and Washington makes it to the Stanley Cup Finals. I think we are all Washington Capital fans at that point in time, even though he's going to be a backup and he's not going to be on the front line. If the Avalanche aren't in it, we are absolutely, because that would just be incredible, man. If he, like I said, even as a backup, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. That would be an incredible comeback story.
Yeah, it'd be. And again, in the same breath that we're talking about Corey Perry, last of a dying breed, there's very few players in the league now that are deserving of that Stanley Cup, that have played and done everything the right way for so long.
Yeah.
Lundqvist is one of those guys that if he has a chance to win the Stanley Cup, a lot of fringe NHL fans or fans of teams that aren't in the playoffs will gravitate to Lundqvist's team just so he can have that chance.
Yeah. You're right. Talk about the yin and the yang. Like Corey Perry, just not a fan, and Henrik Lundqvist is, class personified. So
absolutely.
Definitely, absolutely hope things go right for him. And we'll be talking about, I'll be talking about the Rangers a little bit later when we talk about our history with hockey. So, and then another big announcement coming out last week, the NWHL has an agreement with NBC Sports that their tournament to crown a champion will be televised. The Revolution will be televised in the form of women's hockey. Fantastic news. You know what I mean? Like, why is it taking so long for other sports to really give women's sports kind of like front and center? The WNBA has been around for 25 years. It's got to be. It's got to be 25 years. So they prove, and they have the backing of the NBA, obviously.
Yeah.
I cannot for the life of me figure out why, like, Major League Baseball won't get behind like a women's softball league. You know what I mean? Like, I would watch that all the time. Yeah. Those are some awesome games. Why isn't there WNHL? There should be more of these, and maybe this is the start of focusing on hockey, like women's hockey getting a little bit more notoriety. Because I think when people watch them play, I think it's going to be sad, but some people are going to be like, oh my God, those women can play. Well, shit, yeah, they can play.
Yeah.
And you've just been blind to it all this time. So I'm excited to not only watch this because it's going to be entertaining, but I'm also excited that other people are going to be seeing it for the first time and open to really watching, because maybe they watch it every 4 years in the Olympics, and that's really it. So I'm looking forward to this, and we picked our teams too. But go ahead with your thoughts.
I'm a huge advocate for women's hockey. I've been supporting it as long as I can. Like, I've just jumped onto this NWHL bandwagon here recently, and like you said, we both picked our teams. We'll reveal that in a second. But like the women's hockey, it's incredible. They are highly skilled at what they do. They made an appearance last year at the All-Star game with that 3-on-3 game in the All-Star game in the skills competition.
Yep.
And I was all about that. And you could see like women's hockey starting to play its way into mainstream commercials here in the United States. Yep. And what a lot of people don't understand is these ladies not only play for these professional teams, but they also have to have full-time jobs because their salaries aren't enough for them just to be strictly professional. So like after we announced our teams, I started respectively following the members of our team, and like you see like their trainers and teachers, and like they have full-time jobs, and then when they clock out there, they can go suit up and play a game of hockey. Mm-hmm. Like if that doesn't get respect, that's just mad respect and a true love for the game. And it's evident, like if you ever sat down and watched a women's hockey game, like it is pure hockey. And I am extremely excited that the Isabel Cup is going to be on NBC.
Yep.
It's going to be in February, and I'm going to be there with popcorn and supporting it all the way.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So the teams, if you're not familiar with them, there's 6 of them. the Boston Pride, the Buffalo Buttes, which always makes me think of Christmas Vacation. It's a Butte, Clark. The Minnesota Whitecaps, the Metropolitan Riveters, the Connecticut Whale, harkening back to the Hartford Whale, and the Toronto Six is the final team. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to follow this, you got to pick a team, and we each have ours, and we are not in agreement on who we like. So we are foes when it comes to who we support in the NWHL. You are a fan of
the Connecticut Whale, baby.
And why is that? Because of the Hartford Whalers, or just
the Hartford Whaler tie? And that is just a sick tart. Like, if you get the chance, Google those sweaters. Those are, and the logo, just beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of all of the logos. I think the Boston Pride is a cool logo. Yeah. The Buttes, I don't know. I mean, it's just the buffalo, like most things in Buffalo are. Yeah. The Minnesota Whitecaps seems like the M looks like it's like waves. The Toronto Six logo is cool.
That's super cool.
That is really cool. And I was going between as my team, picking from between Toronto just because of the logo.
Yeah.
But I went Metropolitan, and I just like the Rosie the Riveter image, and that's what they went with the Riveters. So and kind of in being in New York, and near Metropolitan, New York City, that's way to go with. I don't know. Yeah. I just think that's like it goes, that would just be kind of poetic that team with that logo and like the fist, like the guns, wins it. It's almost like we are women, hear us roar type of thing. So
yeah,
I love it. Will you be purchasing, because you're a big paraphernalia guy?
I am indeed. I have definitely been looking. I have a birthday coming up in January, so
really?
I have an excuse. Yeah, January 17th. I have an excuse until the 17th.
Okay. Do they have they have a merch store here? Well, no, they have the merch store for the cup. I'm trying to see if on their website they have like a merch store for like each individual team. Did you look for that?
I saw one. I went on their team page, and they got some.
Oh, okay.
I saw like being here in Alabama, I would love to get like more jerseys and stuff, but yeah, I mean, it's like 80 degrees 95% of the year, so t-shirts are the way to go here.
Yes, yeah, not where I am. I'm a hoodie guy, so I don't know, we have to find that out. So that's gonna be good. Early February, I think this thing whole starts. So,
and we tweeted out the images of both the Riveters and the Whale jersey when we made our announcement on the Fourth Line Twitter account. So
yeah,
if you want to see what those look like, you can go ahead and pull those up.
I do like the Whale one too. That looks cool.
Yeah,
it's gonna be good. Gonna be fun. Yeah. What are you? January what? 17th.
Okay. Yeah, 17th. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm at the end of February. I'm February 27th. So big one for me this year, man. 4-0. You're 32.
Yeah,
that's the big 4-0 for me this year, dude.
Oh,
yes.
Well, hey.
Yes.
I mean, that's good stuff, though.
So, all right.
It all blends together at this point.
Yeah. Here's a transition for you. I'm turning 40, and the World Juniors, which feature teenagers.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
I can start saying that for real now. One of the best clips of all time. So the juniors are underway, and I think there's games going on as we speak. Let me load this up really quick. But yes, Slovakia and Germany are going at it 1-1. Germany got completely dismantled in game number 1 against Canada. You can't really hold it against them because Canada is just incredible. But Canada struggled against Slovakia in game number 2. They only beat them 3-1. United States, rough first game against Russia. They lost 5-3. Very next day, they kind of had their own Canadian game and shut out Austria 11-0. So how much have you been watching? You've taken anything away from it so far? What's your take?
I've realized when the tournament started that, hey, I don't have NHL Network. So I have been watching the 15-minute recap shows after the games finish.
Really?
I've been a fan of watching Cole Caulfield. My goodness, he could zip.
I will always, again, us being Avalanche fans, he was taken the pick before they took Newhook. I'm almost positive on that. I think that, and he was dropping. I don't know why he was dropping. I think maybe it's because of his size, because he's on the short side, but man, he knows how to score, and he's been putting up some highlight reel scores.
Him and Zegras are just deadly together.
Holy crap. Canada just looks too much. I mean, the team is loaded. If you follow kind of like the youth of hockey and some of these guys that are in college but drafted and where they're going, and you kind of some of the specific players across this whole thing, like even on like Sweden, they have really some really up and coming players. They won 7-1 against Czech Republic. I'm trying to go through their thing. Like Noel Gunler's on their team. Who else? Heineman is on their team. I can't remember who drafted him, but there's some if nothing else, that you're not watching this and like, I don't care who wins, you just want to see like kind of like what the future of the NHL looks like. That's where you can go to watch this. It's really good hockey. As young as they are, it's it makes sense to see like why these guys are next in line to take over for the NHL. It's incredible. But with that comes the possibility of injury, and that has already struck Team Canada. It's not going to hurt them that much, but Kirby Dach, who was their captain, and a very important part of the Chicago Blackhawks, with a nasty wrist injury. But that's the chance that you take when you let these guys play, because they want to play for their country. And this can happen. So he's pretty much going to be out for this whole NHL season. It's a shortened season, 4 to 5 months. He's out. Chicago's going to struggle anyway. But you don't want to see a guy get hurt in this tournament and then his NHL season is over.
Yeah. This is a launching pad for a lot of young talent. This is where they make their name. This is where they get the eyeballs. And for Kirby Dach to follow up such a great postseason and that little blip they had in the bubble, and his following up his season last year and not being able to follow up on it, it's going to be disappointing. It's the risk you run, but I mean, hey, they're getting back on the ice, and I know playing for your country and getting back to playing hockey, I mean, that's what they're there for. That's what they want to do, but it's just an unfortunate byproduct of the game. So
and the New York Rangers are looking like geniuses by not letting,
ain't that the truth?
by not letting Lafreniere go. And again, like, this team can play without Kirby Dach and can play without Alex Lafreniere, and they will be just fine. Now, what I'm looking at, I'm sure what you're looking at, is like, okay, if that can happen to Kirby Dach, can that happen to Alex Newhook and Bo Byram? Let's hope not, because
especially if Byram's going to keep laying hits like he has been.
Yeah, I've seen a couple good things from him, and I've seen a couple bad things from him, but I'm not concerned at all about the bad. Like, he's turning the puck over on the blue line, but he's turning it over, and then the recovery speed from him is just like blazing. So,
and that's unpolished Byram. Like, he's not even like being coached with that Avalanche polish. So
exactly,
you're getting an unrefined Bo Byram. So that's appealing enough right there.
Yeah. So I think this will come down to Team USA. I don't know, they don't have the talent top to bottom that like Sweden or Canada does. So, but you never know. You could get a miracle on ice moment. You have no idea. So we'll wait and see.
In the words of JP from Angels in the Outfield, it could happen.
I thought it was float it. I thought that was float it. But that's hockey that's being played on the junior level. You got to see, and you're wearing the shirt right now. Did you just buy that one, or is that an old one that you've had?
That was handed to us at the door.
Really?
Yes.
So
Opening night 2020.
that was a handout to the first 75
2000.
people in the door. How many people did they have at the?
We had 2,500 people.
Really?
They were operating under 70% capacity.
70%. Wow.
Which would have made the limit 3,000 people.
Okay.
And we were close. We
I
were
saw
getting
your
close.
videos. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We
you
were right there.
have a local team, the Birmingham Bulls, and it is the SPHL.
That's correct. Southern Professional Hockey League.
All right. And this was game number 1.
Game number 1
So
against
we're
the
back.
Pensacola Ice Flyers.
Okay. So do you have season tickets or you just buy individual?
I buy individual there. It's $18 ticket.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's basically I bought my shirt and got a hockey game for free.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So take us through it. I mean, this was your first in-person hockey game. This is the first time that they've played since when?
Oh man, we got shut down same time the NHL did because they were planning on like in March, like the St. Patty's Day auction for like the green jerseys and stuff.
Yep.
And when the world shut down, so did the SPHL, and the financials are not as robust as maybe some of the other minor league hockey leagues. So it was just an immediate shutdown. We'll reevaluate next year.
Okay. How many teams in that league?
10, but 5 decided not to come back.
Really?
Because limiting with like we have teams up in Illinois for some reason. And
it's turning into like Big East basketball.
Yeah.
Like they have like Louisville is in the Big East.
Yeah.
Okay.
The S is very loose. It's in quotations.
Gotcha.
But it's a couple of teams decided for health reasons and they didn't know what capacity they could operate under. They just decided we'll just do this when vaccines more readily available.
Okay.
So the 5 existing teams got to pluck from the 5 teams that shut down. So we have now 5 super teams playing in this league, and it's
so
phenomenal.
how did they did like a draft, or how did they?
Well, it's more of you got a protected list, almost like an expansion draft. Everybody got your protected list. Everybody unprotected, you could just be like, I'll take you and you can come over here. And
so the protected guys aren't playing?
No.
Oh, that sucks. I mean, I feel bad for them. I get it, but
it's a give and take.
But so then the guys that they drafted technically are now forever like Birmingham Bulls.
They go back next year.
So then why not just open it up to anybody? Why do you protect anyone?
It's more of an investment protection in case things did go south.
All right. I mean, I could see that. Wow.
So, and I mean, the ultimate goal, let's not kid ourselves here. The ultimate goal for the SPHL is get your players. I mean, it's happened many times last year with the Birmingham Bulls. You get 3 or 4 day contracts in ECHL. You go loaner and you'll go to the A, you'll go to the ECHL. But I mean, you'll get some guys on 10-day contracts.
Okay.
Some guys go up there and stay, but we're the feeders for the feeders. Okay. So
all right.
This was my first experience with a current COVID world sporting event.
Right. How'd it go?
It was okay. Masks, social distancing was heavily suggested and implied, and the game went off without a hitch. Everybody was very good about it's maybe 80% of everybody was wearing masks the whole time.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody was pretty well spaced out. Like I was there with my girlfriend, her 2 boys, like members of my family. Like we're all pretty much basically quarantined because we spent all Christmas together.
Right.
So we just sat on a row by ourselves. And that's basically how it was. Like every row was kind of everybody that came together sat on a row.
So it wasn't, you said there's some people that were not wearing masks. It wasn't like heavily enforced. Like if they didn't want to wear them.
You were told at the door that if you are caught without a mask, you are ejected, no refund.
Okay.
Once puck dropped, I did not pay attention to masks.
You weren't really watching it. Right.
No.
Okay.
So I don't know who survived.
So did they serve like alcohol
Yes.
or sodas and stuff like that, with the expectation that you're going to have to take the mask off to, take a sip of your drink,
Yes.
that was
But
okay. That's
that
okay.
was okay, and it was in the guidelines. It is okay
Okay.
to take off your mask to eat or drink, but you got to keep it on if you're not doing either one. So,
Okay. All right.
but it was not bad, and we've been notorious for our cases being kind of on the low and manageable side because
Yeah.
we're kind of spaced out. So, and I haven't heard anything. Like I said, the game's Saturday, and we're recording this on a Monday night, so I haven't heard anything about spikes in cases or anybody. Like, I feel great. I
Right.
feel wonderful.
Right.
So,
Okay. Um,
but
and did they win?
we went up 3-0 in the first period. It was great.
Oh boy, I don't like where
Being the
this is
bull,
going.
yeah, being the Bulls, our goal song is "Rage Against the Machine." Bulls on Bulls on
Oh,
parade. So,
nice. That is perfect.
oh, it was so good. And then like lights are flashing and everybody's going crazy. We got a new head coach, and then Pensacola comes back and 3-1, 3-2, 3-3,
Oh no.
overtime,
Oh no.
4-3. We
Oh
lose.
no. What's their overtime? Is
There's
their overtime 5-on-5, or do they go down to
3-on-3.
they do a 3-on-3 too? Okay. How long did that last? The overtime?
Probably
Yeah.
about 5 minutes.
Okay.
It wasn't. It didn't. It was enough for maybe one or two shift changes, and
And
then
then that was it.
they got a really good goal that everybody just went really quiet, really quick.
Oh, I bet those are the worst, man. But you got to sit in a hockey arena and watch hockey and hear the sounds of hockey, and
Yeah.
at least maybe you got back to, felt normal for a couple hours anyway.
So when like NHL teams are talking about having teams at capacity, I mean they're much larger arenas, like 2 or 3 times larger than what Birmingham
Right.
has. So, and operating at 20%, it might not be as scary as you initially think, especially if they're strict on the mask guidelines and like distancing everybody. I'm just saying, if you happen to live in a city that they are allowing fans into the NHL game, please, please, please support your team.
Mm,
Please.
I know, because you don't want that. You don't want some teams, having to give up some of their players in an
Yeah.
expansion draft. Like you do. They need it. Leagues like that are kind of like what's going on around the country with just, businesses being
Yeah.
decimated. And just because they're a sport and it's a hockey league doesn't mean that they're just financially stable. They need the assistance. And that's where you guys come in. Go buy tickets, go watch them, go support them as much as you can.
And
I
if you
know.
still don't feel comfortable going to a game, everybody's NHL team has a new reverse retro. Like, support your team however you can.
Yeah.
Either it's merchandise or whatever they have. Like, try and support them the best they can because they're
Hmm.
struggling too, but they got to have a brave face because they're a sport and they're trying to keep it together. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
you'll want to support them while you got them, because if they have to move because they can't keep the doors open, uh, at least you
It
know you
sucks.
tried.
It
Yeah.
sucks. Yep. That leads in interestingly enough into where we're going, about talking about how we got into hockey, because that was a big problem in my area, was support for the local teams. I grew up in upstate New York, right outside of Albany, in a town called Schenectady. Um, and hockey it's so weird. Like, it's very big up here, but it's very big for the big markets. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of Ranger fans up here. There's a lot of Devil fans up here. All of them. They're Sabres, Bruins. You have like people will travel to go see those teams play. And growing up, we had minor league teams all the time in this area. Um, when I was very young, in Glens Falls, New York, which is just outside of Lake George, a little bit north of Saratoga, we had the Adirondack Red Wings, and they were the minor league team for the Detroit Red Wings. Packed. Those games would be packed, and I would go to those games all the time with my dad and my brother. But that was this area. This area's always had minor league. We used to have a minor league Yankee team. They were the Albany Colony Yankees, so they were the AA team. And that got, that was, we'd go to those games all the time. I think we got in for free because of our age. But they shut down. They moved. The Adirondack Red Wings eventually moved, and then teams started going to Albany and playing in Albany, and we had the Albany River Rats for a long time, and then they moved out, and then they tried the Albany River Rats for a second time with a different affiliate, which was it was the, and this is why I think that these two teams are in bed together. It was the Carolina Hurricanes and Colorado Avalanche.
Hey.
It was the Albany River Rats were the minor league team for both of those. It was like a split squad. And then that went away. And then they came back again and became the Albany Devils. And then they were the minor league team for the New Jersey Devils. And every single time they just didn't get butts in the seats. Even for arena football, we had the Albany Firebirds. And let me tell you, those were some of the most exciting, like they packed. We had the arena down here at that time was called the Knickerbocker Arena. That was max capacity. Those Albany Firebird games were incredible. They won the championship, whatever it was called, and moved the next year. It's just like nothing around here stuck when it came to semi-pro or as close as you can get to professional sports. So growing up, like I loved hockey, but there just wasn't a lot of opportunity to play. I mean, you could play like young hockey, like peewee hockey and stuff like that. But my high school did not have hockey until I was in 11th grade. I was 2 years from graduating, and I was already deep into basketball and baseball. And by the time like hockey came around, it was our school and one other school, which technically was our rival school, joined together to form a hockey team. And I'm like, I'm in 11th grade. I'm finally up into varsity, and I've been playing basketball and baseball my entire life, and I can't just dump it now to go play on a hockey team that's going to be absolutely terrible. And they were. I have a lot of friends that played on that team, and I still talk to them, and they tried their best. But Vegas Golden Knights expansion team, they were not. Like but they had fun. Like they knew that they practiced at the Knickerbocker Arena at 5:30 in the morning before school. Like I didn't want to be a part of that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like I played pickup games here and there, and I got my enjoyment out of, and I still do. There's a rink that, if what's today, Monday, the day changes, but sometimes they don't play till like 10 o'clock at night. And I'll go and I'll play there, and I'll get my fill from that. So I wish I love where I grew up, but I kind of wish I grew up in a different area where hockey was readily available at a younger age to me, because I always absolutely loved the sport. I played every like video game you can think of, like the original ice hockey for NHL. Yeah. When your options were the skinny guy, the medium-sized guy, and the fat guy. Yeah. Loved that game. Loved Blades of Steel. Still like one of the best intro music ever in Blades of Steel. So I just loved everything about the game. My brother's best friend was a Blackhawks fan. My dad was a Ranger fan and is a Ranger fan. So I grew up watching a lot of Ranger games. And I think I've talked to you about this, but I never really felt like the Rangers were my team. And I think it was a lot of confusion, because like I'm watching Red Wing games, and I'm watching River Rats games, and then I'm watching and in my little kid head, I'm like, I don't know who my team is, but my dad likes the Rangers, so I watched the Rangers. And I was always a Denver Broncos fan because of John Elway. And then when Quebec moved to Colorado, light went off, and I'm like, there's my team. So a lot of my hockey past is watching it. I mean, I played it. I'm not like, I can skate well, but I can't, like, I just wish I got into more organized hockey, but it just wasn't available up here, even though everybody up here genuinely loves hockey. It's a very weird dynamic of people who watch it but don't really go out and play it. Very weird. Now, for I'm interested in you because you're from the hockey loving state of Alabama.
Yeah.
And your upbringing was probably much different than mine when it came to hockey. So what's yours like?
Well, it's funny, a lot of your story kind of intersects in ways with mine. Here in Birmingham, Alabama, we're really not known for hockey.
No,
I know that's
really?
not a surprise.
You don't say.
But we're really not known for anything around here but college football. Like, we don't have MLB team, we don't have NBA, we don't have NFL, we don't have any professional sport. Believe it or not, the CFL, the Canadian Football League, they brought a team down here in the early 2000s and tried to launch the Birmingham Barracudas football team in Birmingham.
Okay.
And that didn't work. We had XFL for football.
You did. Yes.
We had Birmingham Bolts. That didn't work. We had arena football. We had the Birmingham Steel Dogs. That didn't work. We had, from the 1970s up until the year 2000, we had the Birmingham Bulls. They were started out in the World Hockey League, then went to the ECHL, and then, surprisingly enough, in the year 2000, they moved to Adirondack.
Up here?
Yes.
What were they called?
They when they became the Devils affiliate.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That was the Bulls.
Really?
So in 2000, they uprooted and left. So
okay.
We had no hockey here for a while, and we played in the much bigger BJCC, which is now basically like UAB basketball tournaments, or like SEC basketball, wrestling. There's nothing really that goes on with BJCC, but like there's still that little fan base of people who remember the original Bulls and miss hockey. I was that kid that grew up watching on like fuzzy antenna TVs, whatever game was on ABC or Fox.
Yeah.
Like the Madonna Stars or the Pat LaFontaine Sabres or like the Colorado Avalanche. I latched onto them like I did the Tennessee Titans. When you're young, the new cool thing is like the new logo or the jersey.
Yeah, yeah.
And on Sports Center, when they announce like the Colorado Avalanche and they put up that logo, you're like, that's my team.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's how I did with the Titans. I was like, okay, I can get on board with that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I latched onto the Avalanche and got lucky. We had Patrick Waugh and Sakic, and I was like, these guys are super cool. And then it's one of those, could go to Walmart and you could get the figures in the toy department, and I had those. And my brother had Hasek and Pat LaFontaine. I had Waugh and Sakic, and I had coloring books like of NHL jerseys and goalie masks, and I would play all like Stanley Cup on the SNES, all the NHL games. That's how I kept up with hockey, because it was, like I said, it wasn't mainstream around here.
Right.
So I would simulate seasons, much like we do at the end of these episodes.
Yeah.
I would simulate seasons and keep the stats, and I've always been huge in hockey because it was like so many of the like aspects of different sports like put on ice, and it was just so much fun. And for a while, I was like the weird one that advocated hockey when everybody was talking about like the Atlanta Braves or like college football. But over the past, I want to say 5 years, there has been a huge surge in hockey popularity.
And we're around where you live.
Yes, we have the Pelham where they play out in Oak Mountain. They where the Bulls play. They have the Learn to Play leagues where you could play from
Yeah.
like 3 years old up to beer league.
Yeah.
We have the Bulls play out there. Alabama, Auburn, and UAB all play their collegiate games out that way.
Okay.
Like and we have last year there was a random YouTube video I stumbled across of somebody from like Sweden or Switzerland flew over here for a tryout for the Birmingham Bulls. Because if you're one of those fringe players that really never made the cut,
You can go.
you get your foot in the door in Birmingham and work your way back into the minors that way. So like to see like this is starting to become like a destination for those guys that are falling out of the league. Like it's really cool that like you can go around and you can see, well, you get a lot more Nashville Predator stuff around here than anything.
Okay.
But you get like that's my favorite thing to do at Bulls games is see what jerseys come out.
Yeah.
Like you got your Capital fans and you
could
got
be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's a huge, like we had 4 Blackhawk fans sitting across the arena.
Yeah.
There's usually 3 or 4 Avalanche fans there.
Yeah. Nice.
But it's always been something I've been passionate about. I've always loved the sport. I've watched it religiously. I haven't missed an Avs game in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Do the NHL TV package.
Right.
But I keep up with all hockey. Like I'll watch the juniors. I'll get, if there's no hockey on, I'm watching games from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. You do. So
for me, it's like I fell in love with like the action of the sport. There's no other sport where if the clock is running, there is action going on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like pick a sport like basketball. There's a lot of walking up and down the court, dribbling the ball. Football, there's a ton of standing around while the clock is moving. I think there's only 10 to 12 minutes of actual action in a football game, in an NFL football game. The rest of it, the clock is running and you're going in the huddle and the people, you know what I mean? Like there's not a ton of action in a football game. Baseball is baseball. And people and I love baseball, but that's a completely different sport. That's a strategic game, more strategic than most sports. Hockey is action. It's 60 minutes of action. And then when I would always tell people like, you know, hockey is like my favorite sport, and they'd be like, oh, like, oh, the whole thing is like, oh, it's much better in person. No, it's not. It's just as entertaining at home. And like, well, I mean, a game, what if a game ends 1-0? I'm like, yeah, but like I could list to you 25 things that happen in that game that don't revolve around a goal being scored. You know what I mean? Like there's so that it's just the perfect game because it's just action all the time. And just, I'm still to this day fascinated with line changes.
Yeah.
Just how they do that effortlessly is just, it's like watching a ballet go on. It's amazing.
And then when you're talking about it's like constant action, when play does stop, you know, it's about that they're about to get a fresh set of legs on the ice. So when play resumes, it's about to be faster than what we were just watching.
Right. But even then, like if a guy just has the puck behind the goal because the lines are changing, you know, on camera, they might just be showing the guy behind the net. But what's going on the benches is just action. It's stuff is happening. And like, you're right. As soon as that guy comes out from behind the net, all those guys on the ice are raring to go.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's nothing like it. And I just, in one aspect, like I love the fact that it's not on the level of NFL, because there's so many like people who like the NFL just because it's, you know, the popular sport. And they get they're more angry at their team than they're ever happy with anything that their team does. And I kind of like that the NHL really is like this close-knit community.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just an amazing sport that just gets better with every season. And
we're to your community thing, like we're 2 Avalanche guys, but we started the show talking about Henrik Lundqvist. Yeah. Like our respect for him. Like we can love our teams and then hate other teams, but still respect some
Appreciate
certain
it.
aspects in their
Right.
history and why they're here.
Yeah. So, yeah, kind of just a brief history for us. Oh, and I have to mention, if you want to get the simulation going, we'll probably wrap up here in a few minutes. I have to mention that where I said I grew up in Little Schenectady, New York. I think it was like 2014.
Talk about that movie.
No, not the movie. Well, if you haven't seen Place Beyond the Pines, go see Place Beyond the Pines, which was filmed in Schenectady and is about the Schenectady Police Department. Incredible movie. With Bradley Cooper and Ryan Gosling. Met Ryan Gosling when he was here.
No way.
Yes, he was. I was working out in a gym. One of the gyms we have around here is a 24-hour gym. So this is when I worked like late nights and stuff. I would go to the gym at like 1 a.m, and he was there at 1 a.m. working out. So a buddy of mine who has like no shame just walked right up to him and was like, and he had in the movie, he has tattoos all over himself, and he had all these tattoos, and we're like, we know he doesn't have these tattoos in real life. So me and my buddy walked up to him and was like, oh man, just, love what you do. Big fan. He's like, oh, thanks a lot. And this girl walks up, she goes, oh, can I get a picture with you? And he's like, normally I'd say yes, but I can't because I have all these tattoos and it's for the role and nobody knows what the role is. So I can't really, but he's really like respectful. He wasn't just like, get out of my face. Like really cool guy. So if you haven't seen Place Beyond the Pines, awesome movie. And the entire thing was filmed in Schenectady. So that's one claim to fame to Schenectady. The other is, I think it was 2014, either like 2013, 2014, Union College won the NCAA championship for hockey.
Hey,
Division I. They beat Minnesota in the Frozen Four. Like they took down teams. And like there was a parade right in Schenectady, New York, and I've been to their rink a bunch of times, and it's there. That trophy that no matter what sport wins in college, they had the same trophy, just has a different, like, whatever, like a hockey puck or basketball or something like that. It's there. It's in their rink behind glass, and we won it. And it was really cool that, it's like, it was a David and Goliath type of thing. And they won it. And that propelled guys like Shane Gossespear, because that's who he played for. He played for Union College. And that's why I always want to see him in an Avalanche jerseys, because he's from my town. Yeah.
Birmingham's claim to fame at the end of Space Jam, Michael Jordan puts on the jersey for the Birmingham Barons.
Who's the Birmingham Barons now? This is our
team minor league baseball team.
Oh, yes. That's who he played for.
I got to watch him play baseball.
Yeah. Wow. You went to the game when he was there, and wow.
Yeah, that was
been sold out, right?
Oh, it was the hottest ticket in town. We had ESPN out here all the time, and it was the hottest ticket in town. They're now in another stadium in downtown Birmingham, but we still have the Barons, and they still have Michael Jordan nights and bobblehead nights and stuff. But yeah, at the end of Space Jam, the Birmingham Barons, that's why he wanted to get back so bad. He had a baseball game. Well, it was with the Birmingham Barons.
So. That's funny. Wow. And you can say that you saw him.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was not good.
No. And I think that's why he realized that and went back to his sport.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So that's it. So, if you have your own tale, get a hold of us on our social media pages and let us know why hockey is the greatest thing in the world. All right. Where do we stand? Do we have a champion? Now, I do want to preface this by saying when we started this, the first season was on NHL 20. Avalanche won it. And then the second season was Minnesota. Third season was Tampa. Beating, I think it was, or was it Boston? Boston.
I think it was Boston.
Boston beat the
Avalanche, yes,
in 7 games. So this is the first season on NHL 21. Do we have a champion?
Well, I always preface it with the Colorado Avalanche ended the season with a 52-22-8 record.
Okay. Wow, that's good.
But they were knocked out in the second round by the team that made it to the western half of the Stanley Cup, the Anaheim Ducks.
What?
But they were defeated by the Washington Capitals.
So the Henrik Lundqvist
Capitals.
I am okay with this.
So it's hilarious that we were talking about him winning a cup, and how cool that would be. It literally happened in our simulation tonight.
I mean, come on, man. Is that poetic?
I wish I could script this stuff. I just literally hit 2 buttons, simulate all the way through, and
we always say our phones are listening to us. Maybe our consoles are listening to us too.
Oh man, I would hate for me to get $1 million tomorrow.
Well, you will know if you're scrolling through Twitter and you get some specific ads on the Washington Capitals for some unknown reason.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome, King.
Yeah. Wow. That is awesome, man. I like that one. That's a good one.
And if during the week, if you guys want to throw out where we need to go with our Be a Pro simulation, let us know. We're all ears.
We'll talk about that tomorrow. So if you're watching this, day one, we'll probably put up some stuff. I know we have to figure out how we're going to do this, but we'll put up some stuff on the Twitter page, and you guys can vote on who we should go with, like nationality and city or whatever, something like that. So that'll be fun. All right. That should be it for today. And we will be back next week with a brand spanking new episode. The fifth shift, I think, is next week.
Fifth shift
is next week. So thank you for joining us for the fourth shift and fourth line minutes. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. All right.
Bye.